Hey everybody, today I use Fearless from Strike Gold Shave and I talk about Hans Münch, the Good Man of Auschwitz. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, John Bonham here, Cape Cod Wetshaving. Hope everyone's doing well. Another history shave. So let's get into that real quick. Coffee of the day. Blackbeard's Delight, Black Rifle Coffee. Pretty good. I was telling a friend of mine, I just wish it was a little bit on the stronger side, flavor-wise, not caffeine-wise. Oddly enough, caffeine content doesn't really bother me as much. I mean, I like caffeine in my coffee, obviously, but if it's lower caffeine, I'll still drink it if it tastes really good. So, pretty good stuff. It has like a baker's chocolate kind of vibe to it. Pretty good. So anywho, today, got a good one for you. I'm going to be using Fearless from Strike Gold Shave. This is a wonderful, wonderful soap. I like it a lot. Scent notes on it are sage, lavender, geranium, woods, incense. All right. Very cologne, very unmistakably masculine. And storming of the beach in Normandy there. I'm pretty sure that's Normandy. Well, more than likely. A lot of beaches that were stormed that day, not just Normandy, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. I already got my pre-shave oil on. I'm using Atomic Age face oil for pre-shave. This is the original. They also have the black, which I've used before. And I got the splash to go along with that. And because we were talking about it on one of the Shave Tech lives we did about aftershaves, decided I'm going to use my After Green. I love this stuff. It smells so good. Since I'm using a masculine cologne scent, I thought I'd use a masculine cologne scent. People messaging me, good grief. All right. Sorry. So I'm going to be using, for the hell of it, because of the content, I acquired this. This is a 50 cal double edge safety razor. All right. It's a real 50 cal shell. Pretty awesome. And I will be using Astra Green blades with that. And for my brush, it's a 40 millimeter grenade shell. You can see right here where it connects to the chain to hang down like that. So that's real. That's a spent 40 millimeter grenade shell. Although, granted, this is not historically accurate. These were not invented until 1961, the 40 millimeter grenade shells. So I have already lathered to save time. Oh, it's gonna be a good shave. All right. So all I did was lather it up in the jar and then wipe the brush. And I'm gonna go ahead and stir it up. And that'll get it all nice and pillowy and just mwah. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So today's shave, as you could see, is a World War II one. I'm going to amp up the World War II stories because I have quite a few of them, and I always hesitate because I don't want to overdo them, but you know what? Who cares? World War II always has interesting stories. I do have to be careful. I did the Black Baron. I don't know if you remember that one, the German tank ace. Okay? And I had a couple people write me because of the picture I used. I actually used a picture of him in his SS garb, and people kind of got shitty with me, which I think is silly. I mean, like it or not, it happened. It's a historical thing. So not to be careful to offend people. I mean, as long as I'm not voicing an opinion, which I won't, not really. I'll just say like I think that was bad or whatever. I'm not going to hide the historic part of it, if that makes sense. So I'm not going to go into horrific detail. So I do have to be careful with this one because this does involve Auschwitz and it does involve the medical aspect of it on the German side that had a bunch of human experimentation and stuff. So there's not going to be any bad photos. I'm not going to do that. There were, however, not many photos of him. His name is Hans Münch. There's only one well-known photo of him. All right. And as you saw it, it's the mugshot. And I will get into why I think that is as I shave here. Okay. So let's go ahead and whip this lather up into a frenzy, shall we? And I don't know if you could see, I should have showed it, but I had a teensy trickle of water in the bottom of this bowl. And this is the Elvado bowl, by the way, from Elvado Grooming. Hello, John. Oh, it is a fantastic bowl. This is my favorite ceramic bowl that I have. All right. I have some ceramic mugs that are the apothecary mugs, but I have one that was handmade in Canada by a woman named Elizabeth. And I love her mug. But this is my favorite ceramic bowl, I think, that I have right now. Wonderful. So, let's get lathering. So, Hans Münch, the Good Man of Auschwitz. And he's called that for a reason. So, this is kind of similar to Schindler, Oskar Schindler. Oskar Schindler is how they would say it. As in, this was a quote unquote good Nazi. There was really not a good Nazi. The ideology in its own right was bad, but there were good people who were part of the Nazi party, and this was one of them. So Hans Wilhelm Münch was born May 14th, 1911 in Freiburg im Breisgau in the German Empire. I know I didn't pronounce that correctly. For my fellow German wet shavers, I apologize. My Deutsch ist nicht so gut. So gut. There we go. Ich nehmte es auf Schule für nur 2 Jahre. Das ist alles. So, es tut mir leid. Alright. He was a member of the Nazi Party and a later member of the Waffen-SS during World War II. He joined the NASDAP in 1937 and earned his doctorate in 1939, the year that the war began. So, his life, what he was doing with his life, just happened to coincide with what was happening in his country at the time. He did not, like the angel of death there, friggin' Mengele. Mengele pursued the doctor aspect of it only for the sheer psychotic aspect of human experimentation and the stuff that he would become known for. Münch happened to just be wanting to become a doctor while his country became what it was and did what it did. So when the war began, he did attempt to enlist in the Wehrmacht, but it was rejected. Okay, so his work as a doctor was considered too important. So he was a very intelligent guy. He did try to join the Wehrmacht, but it was rejected only because you're too smart. We need you as a doctor. All right. So in June 1943, he was recruited to the Hygiene Institute and was sent to Auschwitz. The Hygiene Institute was the experimentation aspect of Auschwitz. While there, he would work alongside none other than who I just mentioned, Josef Mengele, the angel of death. And that's a picture of Mengele right there. He's well known, in case you don't know who he is. Very bad guy. And he unfortunately was one of the Nazis to escape and live out the rest of his life, not necessarily in comfort, because he was constantly looking over his shoulder, but he was never caught and prosecuted like, I don't know, not Klaus Bobby, what the hell is his name? Eichmann, Adolf Eichmann. Mengele actually passed away. He was swimming and he had a heart attack while he was drowning, or a stroke. I can't remember which. While he was swimming in the ocean. And that's how he died. So among his duties was the study of different bacteria and inspections of the camp and the prisoners. Okay? Not like, that wasn't one of his major duties, but he would do inspections. Okay, here we go. And I forgot to mention, I do not know what kind of razor head that they use. I got this razor from a company called Valkyrie Bearded and Grooming. It's a married couple. Both are ex-Marines, I believe. They're based in Jacksonville, Florida, and I forgot to ask them what kind of razor head they use. It's very mild. So I don't know, maybe y'all would know better than me. I wanted to say it looks like a mule, but I don't think it is. Might just be a generic no name, which I don't think really exists. I'm sure it's a company I've heard of. I don't know. But it's a very mild razor, especially with this blade in it. But all right. So Münch was expected to take part in the infamous selection process involved at the entrance to the camp. He found the process horrific and appalling and refused to take part. All right, this is a photo, one of many photos of the selection process happening in Auschwitz. Now, this is the photo I used when I posted on Instagram. And you can see right there in the background, the tower, the infamous entrance to Auschwitz, the gate right there. I think that's this photo. It is now. All right. He would later state that he was the only Nazi doctor whose adherence to the Hippocratic Oath was stronger than that to the SS itself, which is very significant because the SS, to put it mildly, were sycophants. They were very gung-ho in their organization and their ideology, up to the point that they had a tattoo right here, which unfortunately made them easily recognizable after the war. But they are ideologues, to say the least. So he was expected to conduct human experiments. He unfortunately did so. Okay? He had to. But as often as possible, they were farces. He would prolong the experiments as long as he possibly could due to the subjects being killed at the experiment's conclusion. Because once the experiment was concluded, we don't need you anymore. Bye-bye. It's not like you're going to go into a work detail, you're crippled with, I don't know, malaria or whatever the ungodly thing poor people were injected with. So they would just get rid of them. And he knew it. So, shortly after the war, he would be arrested by U.S. soldiers after being identified as an Auschwitz physician. Now, one sec. He was sent to Poland to stand trial in 1946, but would be acquitted on December 22nd, 1947. Okay. Now here's the full mugshot. This is him holding the sign. You can see all that. This is his official mugshot. The other one was just like a zoomed in photo of this. So, numerous witnesses had come forward in his defense. Among their statements was testimony of how he did not harm or cause harm against prisoners. A prisoner who worked daily with him told the court that he was friendly, never punished or humiliated anyone, and took genuine interest in his care of patients, as a doctor should. And there was one or two instances where one of Münch's underlings actually had to kind of nudge him, either figuratively or literally, because he was showing too much care in the Jewish prisoners in front of other fellow Nazis. Like he was genuinely warm and caring to these people because they were his patients. And he was told on at least 2 occasions, hey man, you need to ease up on these people because, you know, as they view it, they're not people. All right. Ooh, that itched. Belief, anyways, is that they were not. So, his care of a major role in the decision for his acquittal was the discovery that and it was in record, it was in the records of the Nazi Party itself, that he had contacted Berlin himself to inform them of his staunch refusal to participate in the selection process or even be present for them. So not only was he against it, he went to his own superiors and said, I am not going to be part of the selection. And I believe what came back was they just were like, okay, we don't need you there. We have plenty of people. Just tell us what kind of people you need. So, which he did. And if memory serves, he asked for, I think he asked for women and children. Because he knew the men would stand a better chance, at least, I guess, in some degree of survival, because they were more inclined to be sent to the work details. All right, so it was reported he conducted additional experiments on female prisoners, as I said, to keep them as long as possible. Women were viewed as far more expendable than men. There you go. It's always a somber thing when I do research into these topics or even read about them. Let's try to put myself, it's hard to put yourself in that place. Simply because it's hard to imagine that even having occurred to begin with. All right. He also had made great efforts to make their lives more bearable. This is awesome. He allowed Jewish assistants to rest in hidden areas of the offices and the exam rooms. He would hide them from his own subordinates. So his own superiors and even the people who worked under him who would blow the whistle on him. So I would imagine he had them sleeping, I don't know, in cabinets on the floor or something. Like somewhere where they would not be found. Knowing they were there. And he could deter people from finding them or even being in the room to discover them at all. All right, so I got one page left. This is a 3-pager. You'll notice there's not a lot of pictures, as I said. Now, the reason I believe there are not as many photos of him back in the day when all this happened was for the simple fact that it was not useful in the worldview. You had the Nuremberg trials, you had the Auschwitz trials, you had all kinds of trials. You had the trials for the guards of Bergen-Belsen. You had the female trial, or the trials for the female guards at Ravensbrück, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And one thing they were certain to do, and it makes sense, is to demonstrate leniency to some degree, in some way, shape, or form. To demonstrate that these were in fact fair trials and not show trials. Which in my opinion is the only reason Albert Speer, rather than the death penalty, was given 20 years in prison. So the courts could turn around and say, see, we don't condemn all of them to death. Although Albert Speer knew full well that he was using slave labor. He would tell you otherwise, but he knew. So I think, personally, that there weren't tons of photos of him only because they couldn't use it. Maybe I'm wrong. Now, there's plenty of photos of him when he's older. But aside from that mugshot, I couldn't find a single photo of him doing his guard duties back during World War II. So as the camp was being evacuated at war's end, he had given a group of prisoners a revolver and ammo to assist in an escape. So he had actually given them a gun, shook their hand, wished them the best of luck. Because he had to go too. Everyone was just leaving. All right. After his acquittal, he was called the Good Man of Auschwitz and the Human in SS Garb. I like the Good Man of Auschwitz, me, personally. Human in SS Garb, though, speaks volumes. Because that means that they saw them, anyone walk around in that uniform, was not human. They were monsters. Really sad. Out of the 40 Nazis, 40, tried in Poland for crimes in Auschwitz, Münch would be the only one, the only single one out of 40 to be freed and cleared of any charges. In 1995, Münch made a historic decision. He became the only Nazi welcomed back to Auschwitz on the liberation's 50th anniversary. He was an SS man, welcomed back by survivors of Auschwitz for the anniversary. And he did attend. He lived his last years near Forgen Lake in Bavaria, Forgen, I think, and died January 27th, 2001, at the age of 90. As Hans Münch, the last years of his life. Eva Moses Kor, a survivor of Josef Mengele, said of Münch upon hearing of his death, and this is the last part of the video, I'm going to leave you with this. Upon hearing of Münch's death, and here's a photo of Eva with Münch at Auschwitz. Okay? She wrote, "I did not believe in good Nazis until I met him. He was a Nazi, but there is no denying he tried to do what he could do. He was placed in a dishonorable position, and he did his best to remain honorable." So, wow. From a survivor. Said that about a SS Nazi at Auschwitz. So, all right, let me rinse this off. I'm going to do post-shave. Be right back. All right. To post-shave with Strike Gold is so good. It's tallow and goat's milk. It's a wonderful, wonderful soap. Right up my alley, too. Frank does a great job picking, he does the presidents. I missed out on Hoover. I wanted to get Hoover's set. I think I have Grant. I'll have to go look again. It's so bad. I know I have Jackson, I believe. I know I end it with believe. Anyway, so that's Hans Münch. I hope y'all like that. I mean, I could go and talk about more known stuff about World War II, which I would not mind doing at all. But I really like, as you know, the lesser known. And not a lot of people talk about, again, the quote, good Nazis. The good people who were Nazis, I'll say that. And it's interesting, there's a lot of people who didn't want to be Nazis to begin with. If you can believe it, Rommel, the Desert Fox himself, did not agree with the Nazi ideology. He only became one because he really kind of was threatened into it. He held out to the last moment to even join the Nazi party. If you joined prior to 1933, you were known as an alter Kampfer. That's an old fighter. Good Lord, Bolsheviks, they had the same thing. They were called old Bolsheviks. Of course, most of them were killed by Stalin. Molotov was an old Bolshevik. Bukharin, all of them. Trotsky, all those guys. So alter Kampfer were more respected because you were suspicious, kind of looked at suspiciously if you joined after 33. Not always, but you were definitely looked down upon if you joined after the war began in 39. Because then it looked like you were just joining because because he had to, not because he wanted to, and he didn't believe in, you know, blah, blah, blah. So there was one thing I'll throw in that occurred later in Münch's life. And this occurred very late, right before he passed away. I think it happened in like 98 or 99. He was prosecuted by France for apparently saying some things that were not too nice. I believe what they finally decided had occurred was his mental faculties were starting to deteriorate tremendously. I mean, he was 90 years old when he died. But he was saying things like, you know, I would do it over again or something like that. It really kind of smeared what he had done his whole life. So that's why I kind of do believe in the mental thing. I mean, he risked his life big time. You didn't just do that to later write a book and look good. I mean, he really, I think that's really who he was. So if you do research on him, you're more than likely going to come across that. I personally think it was just because he was, you know, losing his mental abilities in old age. I hope. I mean, that's what I think, having looked into all this stuff. But yeah, look him up. I mean, it's very interesting. I don't know if there's a book. I'm almost certain there is at least one involving other, you know, Oskar Schindler and Münch and all that. Maybe the good Nazis, but yeah, look it up. It's pretty neat. And that'll do it. Oh, I almost forgot. This stuff smells remarkable. I do know that Frank is re-releasing the Rat Pack. I think that's what it's called, right? One with Sinatra on the cover. I think it's Rat Pack. Maybe it's not Rat Pack. I can't remember. Anyway, the one with the Sinatra on the front, which I need. But if you see this one, pick it up. It smells really good. Those scent notes do not seem like they would combine to smell the way they do. I don't know if this is a cologne dupe. I'd be surprised if it's not. It's very cologne-y, but I like it very much. God, that after green's good. Oh, I miss after. Man, that's good. Sorry. All right, that'll do it. Thank you, everybody. I know I'm behind again. It is what it is, but glad I got one out. Next week, I'm going to start a Noble Otter thing using all the face cards, the releases he came out with, because I have all 5 of them. So Monday monologue, if all goes well, I'm going to start with, I think, the Joker. And then I'm going to do, you know, Jack, King, Queen, or Jack, Queen, King, Ace, I think is what I'll do. Wish you had a 10. And you have a straight. Oh. All right. Here we go. That'll do it. Everyone, thank you. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed. Till next time, happy shaving. Take care. Watch out for everybody. Be safe.